In this video, I'm going to talk about the distributive property and why we write things such as what you have right here and how to simplify it. So I'm going to start, before I even touch that, I'm going to just start with this. Hopefully you know that 5 times 2 is the same thing as 5 2's being added to each other, like this. So why do we write 5 times 2? Well, because it takes less space. It's easier. Same thing with this, 5x. You notice I don't put a little dot there between that because I don't have to. Any number times a letter multiplied is just going to be just like that. But that's 5 x's, so x plus x plus x plus x. And again, why do we write it like this? Why do we write it with the 5x? Because it's smaller, it takes up less space. And that's why we write things that look like this. But this is what it means. It just means 5 groups of x plus 2. So x plus 2 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 2. Oh, let's put this together real fast. We know our like terms, so we have all our x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 10. And so this then also becomes this. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to teach you how to go from with parentheses to without parentheses in this video. The quick way to simplify a problem like this, where you have a number on the outside of parentheses that's multiplying, is just to multiply each of the terms inside the parentheses by the guy on the outside. One of the things that we do to help you remember what you're doing is to draw little arrows. And so we're going to do 5 times x. And then we're going to do 5 times positive 2. And then we're going to put them together. What is 5 times x? 5x. What's 5 times positive 2? Positive 10. And notice how the positive then becomes my plus sign right here. Now, one of the things as you are in 8th grade we do is if you can start to skip that line, well, it would let you do that. I want you to pause the video and do this problem on your own and then turn the video back on. And at that point, I should have the whole thing set up so you can see if your work and my work and our answers match. So I'm going to ask you to pause it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you try this on your own. Do you and I have the same final answer? I did 5 times 3x is 15x, and then 5 times positive 2 was positive 10. This one might seem hard just because it's bigger, but you just do 3 arrows. We're going to do this one, and this one, and this one. So I'm going to have 3 terms in my final answer. So again, 5 times 3x is just 5 times 3 is 15, and then x. 5 times the 2 is 10. And then 5 times m is just 5 m's. M plus m plus m plus m plus m. That's just 5m. And that's my answer. Uh-oh. What about this one, where the number multiplying is on the right-hand side? Well, guess what, y'all? You do the exact same thing. If you wanted to, you could even rewrite it and just put the 5 on the left-hand side. But I'm just going to go here. 5 times 3x, 15x. And I'm going to do 5 times 2, positive 2, which is positive 10. And then 5 times positive m, which is positive 5m. See, done exactly the same way. I got the same answer as I did before. What do you do here? Well, guess what? You ignore the 7x until your parentheses are gone. So we're going to use the distributive property first. Here. These look very familiar, don't they? 5 times 3 is 15x. 5 times positive 2 is positive 10. And then plus 7x. And now you combine like terms. So hopefully you remember that from a previous video or lesson. I have 15x and positive 7x as like terms. So 15 plus 7 is 22 x's. And then I tag my 10 on to the end here, just like this. That wasn't too hard. I want you to do this on your own and then turn the video back on and see if we have the same answer. So turn off the video, pause it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, take a look at my work, and if you have to, pause it again and match my work with yours to see if we got the same answer. And did you see how I kind of switched this up on you from the last problem? By putting the like terms being your constants instead of the one with the variable. It's time to work with some of the tricky ones, and you will see things that look like this. And you have a negative sign in front of it. Well, what number multiplies that can be invisible? If you said the number 1, you're right. So this is not just a negative. This is a negative 1 that's in front. And that's going to make things a lot easier just by putting the negative 1 right there. And so now, negative 1 times x is negative 1x. So I'm going to write that right here. Negative 1x, which again, the 1 can be invisible. And so it really becomes just a negative x. And then a negative 1 times a positive 2 is a negative 2. And again, notice how I make that negative my minus sign in my answer. Soon we're going to get into equations where something like what you see here is going to equal another number. You have to solve for x. And I guarantee you're going to see something that looks like this. So how do we deal with it? Well, first of all, I got to get rid of the parentheses before I combine any like terms. And so I'm going to just write the 15x down. I'm really going to pretty much ignore it other than writing it down. And I'm going to put my 1 here to remember that that's a negative 1. And so I'm going to take this, negative 1 times x is negative 1x, which is just the same thing as x, negative x, I'm sorry. And then negative 1 times positive 2 is negative 2. Well, now I'm going to look at it and say, okay, I've got some like terms here. I have an x and a negative x. And then what is that? Well, 15x minus an x is 14x. And then I'm going to tack on the minus 2. And let me tell you, if you can get it down to this spot instead of what you saw at the beginning, that's going to be an equation that's much easier to solve. This is our last one, and what I want you to do again is I want you to pause the video, I want you to write it out and try to work it out on your own, and then turn back on the video and see if you and I have the same answer. So please pause the video in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. Here's the answer. Is this what you got? If not, check my answer with your work and see how we did it. I do have to tell you, there is another way to write this. If you wanted to put the x first, you could have put a negative x and then plus 3. All right, well, it's time for you to work on your own, so go and have some fun.